So the reason why they did not investigate the fact that they did not investigate implies and means that there was no reasonable suspicion that the threshold was met. Hence, the threshold was not met. There's some links that you need to do with that.
Now, there's another thing that came out in David Lametti's testimony today. As early as January 30th, in text messages, January 30th,
Oh, yeah.
the convoy's been on the ground for, I don't know, 36 hours, maybe 24 at that point, little over 24, maybe let's just say a day and a half. Let's round up for David Lametti's sake. On the 30th, he is saying, should we invoke the EA? And also, should we be treating these people differently based on race? I'll just scroll back while you're giving your thoughts there about what exactly was said. But I actually was kind of shocked to see it in writing. I thought he would be smart enough to put this in a phone call with his cronies and not send it back and forth in a text message that would then be subject to evidentiary rules in this commission.
So which one exactly? Because there's a lot of shocking text messages he spoke of when that we saw today. So are you talking about the one where he says that the protesters could have been treated differently if they were Black or Indigenous, or is this something else?
Right. No, this is a Lametti text from January 30th. I said it's something else, and boy, was it ever. He wanted to use the Emergencies Act as early as 1.5 days into the convoy, and he was indicating he would treat the protest differently based on race. So what he said was, do we have contingency for these trucks to be removed tomorrow or Tuesday? And then he puts in brackets, if they were Black or Indigenous, ... Meaning, should we consider treating them differently because they aren't Black or Indigenous, as opposed to our approach to Indigenous-led, however, I wouldn't say it's Indigenous protests, blocking rail lines or sabotaging pipelines, or I don't know, maybe we need a minister to come out and take a knee with them the way Justin Trudeau did with the BLM marches. So this is what he's saying. He says, what's the normative authority do we have, or is some order needed? EA? So that's January 30th. Like, the sun had set on one day of convoy protests, and he's like, drop the hammer, war measures these people.
Yeah. No, it was very surprising to hear that. It was very funny when I was sitting in the room and I read that. So he clarified afterwards what he meant by that. He meant he understands that there are issues of so-called systemic racism in the police forces and in the justice system, and that had it been a Black or Indigenous protest, he was wondering if those people would have been treated more harshly and differently than the people at the convoy.
They weren't. That's the stupid thing.
Yeah,
we know they weren't.
And I recall the police beating down. I recall RCMP horses trampling 2 Indigenous protesters. I recall the police arresting a Métis grandmother from Alberta for peacefully protesting. So I don't think that these text messages make that much sense. I think it's pretty funny, honestly. When you think that those are the people in our government, I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's literally suggesting maybe we should look at this through a race lens instead of applying the rule of the law equally. He also said at one point, he called them protesters, and he immediately corrected himself. And he said, I don't want to call them protesters because this was unlawful. And as we heard, it was never declared unlawful. The Riot Act was never invoked. None of that happened. And he should know better because he's the justice minister. And we can read ahead. On February 4th, he's got text messages again. So this is, I don't know, approximately 5 days later, still pushing the Emergencies Act. And I said, is it any wonder that his department then advised CSIS that the standard to invoke the EA was not CSIS Section 2, which CSIS said it never met. So on February 4th, he says, I believe the angle is incoming the Emergencies Act. So from the very beginning days, that was always going to be the outcome. They just needed to wait long enough to do it so they could, at least have the cover of time saying, oh, these things were so dangerous, they were never going to resolve. And so what were we supposed to do after 3 weeks almost?
Yeah, well, we hear different witnesses say their account of when they think that the Emergencies Act was first discussed. Some people said that it was the day prior to the invocation. Some people said it was the day of the invocation. People said it was a week before. And they all swore under oath that they would tell the truth. Yeah. So I'm inclined to think that it's just incompetence or ignorance, that they don't know exactly when it was actually discussed firmly for the first time, because otherwise they would be lying under oath. But I find it very funny to see that, you know, David Lametti here said that it was one of the first options he thought of. Marco Mendocino in a press conference said that the Emergencies Act was something that he thought about invoking since day one. Other individuals.
Bill Blair said that. Bill Blair told Global News from day one.
Oh, it was Bill Blair then. It wasn't Marco Mendocino. And other witnesses said that it was later on. There's a lot of inconsistency within this whole inquiry.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Something particularly stomach churning about watching these snakes. And I've tweeted the word snakes so many times. I'm just using the emoji at this point. Watching these snakes put their hand on a Bible and swear and then lie. Just literally lie through their teeth. But I think this is the worst one. And it was a 2-snake tweet from me. Public safety minister. And so Marco Mendocino and David Lametti, the justice minister, they're talking about deploying tanks to the streets of Ottawa on February 2nd. So what are we, 4.5 days into the protest at this point? Mm-hmm. They were going to deploy tanks as early as February 2nd. So the text messages read, "You need to get the police to move." What do you mean? I thought federal government couldn't direct police. Like the police act at arm's length. So what does this mean, guys? Anyways, keep going. And if the CAF, that's the Canadian Armed Forces, if necessary. Too many people are being seriously adversely impacted by what is an occupation. I'm getting out as soon as I can. People are looking to us, you, for leadership, and not stupid people. People like Carney, Kath, my team, ... So I wonder if he means Mark Carney stupid. Is that Catherine McKenna, the former environment minister who used to be an Ottawa MP? Yeah. Is he calling her stupid? Is he calling his team stupid?
No, but it took me
I might agree with him for once. Oh, hey, what you just saw there is a clip from my weekly full-length show, The Gunn Show. It airs on Wednesday, but this is the internet. You can watch it whenever you feel like. You just have to become a subscriber to our paywalled premium content. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com to become a member today.